when we talk about, and when I talk about making yourself an energetic match for things that you desire, overgiving is literally the opposite of making yourself an energetic match. To overgive is to repel the things that you desire. So if you're in a state of where you're overgiving and you're giving from a depleted cup, it doesn't matter how much work you're doing to make yourself an energetic match for your desires, you're not going to bring those things to fruition. Because as long as you are overextending and energetically depleting yourself, you don't have space for manifestation and creation.
This is Leah Steele, aka The Wealth Witch, and this is my podcast. I'm here to activate you to remembrance of your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. This podcast is for people ready to have controversial conversations about the financial control, manipulation, and tyranny that faces humanity today.
I'm gonna live in freedom. I'm gonna live my destiny. I'm gonna live my freedom. I'm gonna live, the time is right now.
The Wealth Witch. It's for the people who are ready to wake up, deconstruct their wealth programming, and free themselves from the financial slavery consciousness that serves the global financial agenda. I'm committed to realizing a new global wealth paradigm where economic freedom is the reality and where you get to design and live the life of your dreams. Now let's do the damn thing.
So I want to talk about the things that I believe to be foundational principles of manifestation. And so if you guys have done the Mystical Manifestation series, you're going to be familiar with some of this, but we're going to riff more on it, and we're going to talk more about those concepts that I talk about in the Mystical Manifestation series. But we're going to bring some of the more advanced wealth consciousness concepts into the conversation tonight. So how many of you have done the Mystical Manifestation series, the art of receiving, the art of deciding, the art of alignment, the art of allowing, and the art of detachment? It's a series that I did that I've done over several years. Wow, lots of no's. Okay, cool, very cool. Well, amazing. So we'll talk about this, and we'll talk about in the concepts of, these are sort of like what I believe to be the 5 pillars of manifestation. And these classes that I've done are called the art of. So we have the art of receiving, we have the art of detachment, we have the art of alignment, we have the art of allowing, and we have the art of deciding. And so we're going to go through these and we're going to talk about these because this is really, I believe that at any given moment and any given time, you can tap into one or several of these pillars to bring about rapid manifestation. And so let's talk first about the art of receiving, because I believe that this one is vitally important, particularly as it pertains to women. And so the art of receiving, and we're going to speak specifically as it pertains to women tonight on this call, because we only had a couple of men in the group. They weren't particularly engaged. They can come back and tap into their feminine when they watch this, if they end up, if they were part of Early Bird, which I don't know that they were. So with women, this part is so vitally important, and that's why I start with it, because I believe it really is the foundation of manifestation. Women desire to give. It's part of our cellular DNA to give and be of service to our tribe, to our community, and really to humanity as a whole. And we're taught from the time that we're born, from the time we take our first breath on this planet, and as we grow up, we are programmed and conditioned to sacrifice. We are taught to sacrifice the things that we want and we desire to help others meet and achieve their goals, whether that person is our significant other or that person is our children. or that person is a friend. It's like we are really programmed and conditioned to sacrifice to help other people achieve their goals. And as a result, many of us grow up programmed and conditioned to believe that overgiving is something that is a good character trait. That when we overextend ourselves and we overgive, it means we're a good person, or we're a good friend, or we're a good mother, or we're a good wife. And so the thing that I want to really, really impress upon you as we begin to talk about the art of receiving is that overgiving inhibits your ability to receive. Say it again. Overgiving inhibits your ability to receive. So if you took nothing else away from this call tonight and you took away stop overgiving, then you would be well on your way to manifesting more than you have been prior to this. So because we're so programmed and conditioned in that way, the majority of us are so used to doing things for other people before we do them for ourselves that we literally put ourselves last. And when I talk about making yourself an energetic match for things that you desire, overgiving is literally the opposite of making yourself an energetic match. To overgive is to repel the things that you desire. So if you're in a state of where you're overgiving and you're giving from a depleted cup, which we're going to talk about in just a second as well, if you're giving from a depleted cup, it doesn't matter how much work you're doing to make yourself an energetic match for your desires, you're not going to bring those things to fruition. Because as long as you are overextending and energetically depleting yourself, you don't have space for manifestation and creation. The giving from a depleted cup thing is very important. So I truly, truly believe, and I live from a place of, I do not ever give from a depleted cup. I give from states of overflow. Because when I give from states of overflow, I'm giving freely. I'm in a state of energetic abundance, which means that what I'm giving is having greater impact. So you can't give from an empty cup. You just can't. And what ends up happening is you get resentful, you become energetically depleted, and so you're not giving your 100% anyway. So for me, I have a rule about that, and it is that I fill my own cup first before I try to fill others. And I focus on making sure that I'm energetically in a good place before I try to give energy to others. Nobody wants fucked up energy. Like, nobody wants you giving them your sad, sorry ass, depleted, resentful, martyrdom infused, sacrificial up on the cross energy. Nobody wants that shit. And even though you've been rewarded for it most of your life, most likely, if you're a woman, it's not the way to do things. And it is certainly not the way to rapid or instant manifestation. So stop that shit. Let's just all say, we're going to stop overgiving. We're going to stop giving from a depleted cup. Like, go ahead, type it in the comments. If this is you and you're an overgiver, let's make a commitment to not do that. So these are really the steps that I feel like are important when it comes to receiving. One, shine the light. It's really important that you shine the light on yourself, that you look at, where am I not feeling worthy? Where am I blocking myself? Where are my limiting beliefs getting in the way? What is all that shit that's been conditioned and programmed into me that is keeping me from moving forward in my life the way that I desire to? So obviously you're coming out of Ouroboros. You know that we have just done a shit ton of looking at programming, conditioning, and limiting beliefs. You know, I'm all about getting to the root of those beliefs, extracting them at the root, you know, ripping out the rotting foundation, and really, yeah, just deconstructing that shit. And you guys have done a lot of work over the last few months to do that. But we still have these very insidious things that creep in and that get in the way. Things like our languaging, things like the things that we're telling ourselves, the words that we're saying to ourselves verbally and also in our heads. And we have to be willing to shine the light on that and continually check ourselves. I'm not even perfect. I still sometimes will be like, I can't, or that's too hard, or that's expensive, or that's blah, 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 right? So being really diligent in watching our languaging and making sure that we're not saying things to ourselves, either verbally or internally, that are sabotaging all the progress that we've made and all the deconstruction of the conditioning and the programming is really, really important. And so, you know, with women also, like one of the things that we battle is our negative self-talk. And it's not just about our worthiness and deserving of money and finances and wealth and acquiring and accumulating wealth and living the life that we deeply desire. It's about, you know, our bodies and our physical fitness and our mental fitness. And, you know, we've got a lot of shit around, are we good enough? And so when those ugly voices rear their heads, because they do, right? We live in a society that is programming and conditioning us to believe that we have to look, behave, act, feel a certain way. And then when we don't internally live up to what we believe that we should be, then the negative self-talk starts, right? Then the negativity starts to creep in. And so with this, the thing that you have to ask yourself is that thing I'm telling myself ultimately real? Like, is it true? Does it have merit? And you need to be a bit savage with yourself around this, and coach yourself. Like, remove yourself from the person that's there inside your head hearing that voice, and get savage with yourself. Is this just bullshit? Like, what you're telling yourself, does it have merit? Is it partially true? And if it's true, if part of it's true, right? If you are slacking off in some way, or you aren't giving your best to whatever it is, then take radical responsibility for that. But if it's not true, it's not real, then you have to shift out of that. And you have to start calling yourself on that. And you have to start repatterning those thought patterns. You have to start taking responsibility for the negativity that you're telling yourself. Because I promise you that negativity that we tell ourselves is a million times worse than anyone could ever or would ever say to us. Yeah, because as long as we have those thoughts in there unchecked and running the show and sabotaging us at every turn, then radical and instant manifestation, it's just not possible. Because what we're doing is continually telling ourselves we're not worthy, we're not good enough, right? So you have to be willing to shine that light for yourself, because the truth is no coach, no mentor can do that for you. No coach and no mentor can be inside your head 24 hours a day, checking you on the negative things that you're saying to yourself. So step 2 to receiving is tracking the big stuff and the small stuff. So we did some of this in Ouroboros, where I had given you the money tracker, where you were tracking actual money coming in, and then also in kind. When we are working on receivership and being in state of receptivity. When we're trying to put ourselves into the place where we're willing to receive, we have to acknowledge the things that we receive. And so while I don't do a money tracker anymore, it is really important I'll take that back. Sometimes when I hit a plateau, I'll do a money tracker. Because if I'm not acknowledging what I'm receiving, then often that is what starts plateau states, or states of stagnation or ebbs, like, how we go in our ebbs and our flows. So it's important. And especially if you're early in your wealth consciousness journey, it's important to track the things that you're receiving. And that means things that aren't monetary as well. Like when someone gives you a compliment, accept it, right? Don't downplay it. Don't shake it off. Don't be non-accepting of it. It's really particularly hard if you're a metal constitutional factor like me, because we fucking hate compliments. But accept all the compliments that you receive. Just say thank you. I know it's hard, but just say thank you. If someone offers you something, including their assistance in some way, take it, right? When the grocery store bagger offers to carry the bags to your car, let them do it. Don't be like, oh no, I'm fine, I got it. We know, right? We know you can do it. We know you're capable. But the truth is that in order to step into states of receiving, we have to be willing to receive. And so many of us are so worried about being independent women and being acknowledged for how much we can do that we literally don't let people help us. And we're saying no to the universe all the time. We're literally like, nope, I'm not willing to receive. I'm not going to receive. So yeah, like eliminate, oh, no, thanks, I'm okay from your vocabulary. Start accepting the assistance that people are trying to give you. Start putting yourself into a state of receivership. Energy attracts energy, right? We know that. So when you become willing to receive those smaller things, it's a sign to the universe that you're willing to receive the bigger things. And so when you continue to show up in that way, where you're being conscious of being in a state of receiving, you'll receive more. Literally, like we say no to the universe all the time. And as long as you're continuing to tell the universe to fuck off, like it's not going to hand you the big paydays. It's not going to hand you these things that you deeply desire. If you're continually saying no, 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 no to the gifts that the smaller gifts that the universe is trying to bestow on you every day. So yeah, you find the penny on the ground, or you find the $20 bill in your jacket pocket, be like, thank you, universe. Acknowledge it, right? Acknowledge that you've received something and celebrate it. Like celebrate the small things, celebrate every dollar that comes in, celebrate every win that you have, celebrate every sale in your new program. Like celebrate those small things. And this is something I'm actually really bad at. And I'll totally just fully out myself. I am a metal constitutional factor. This stuff is really hard for me. And I don't celebrate. And so I have to be continually reminding myself to celebrate my wins, because nothing's ever good enough for me. I've never reached or achieved my goal. And I don't celebrate as much as I should. And so that's something that I actually have to work quite hard on. And when I find myself falling out of states of receivership, I can always pinpoint where I've been saying no to the universe, or where I haven't been acknowledging the gifts and the blessings that I have been receiving. So this is like, track this for 30 days. Like track it. Accept all the compliments that you receive, accept all the help that you're offered for 30 days, and see what shifts for you, see what changes, see how much more you are actually bringing in when you are acknowledging the things that you're receiving in your life. So step 3 is be clear. And you guys have heard me tell this story a million times, right? How do we receive? Well, we receive by being really clear about what we want. You don't go sit down in the Italian restaurant, and when the waiter comes up and asks you what you want to eat, say, I don't want spaghetti. It's not what you do. You sit down and you say, I want the penne pomodoro with chicken and extra mushrooms and some parm on the side. And I want a Chianti and whatever. Like you're specific, right, with what you desire. You have to be clear with the universe about what you desire. You have to be specific. You cannot be vague. When you are vague, you will not get the thing that you desire. There's no telling what you're going to get, right? If you're not being specific. So the more specific you are, the easier it is for the universe to deliver you the thing that you desire. So being in feminine flow, we obviously did some work in Ouroboros where we talked about feminine versus masculine. And so this is something I want to talk about that does not need to come from any place of judgment, no matter where you are in your life. I think many people think that I operate very, very masculine in most cases, and that I'm in masculine energy a majority of the time. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, I felt really judged by a lot of women in the, who do womb work or who are in that feminine space. I feel like I've been judged by the fact that I show up from their perception quite masculine. As women, we manifest more easily when we are able to tap into our feminine traits and characteristics. And so it doesn't mean that you need to be more feminine or that you're too masculine. That's not what I'm saying. But when we make a conscious effort to tap into those feminine parts of us, it's much easier for us to receive. When we allow ourselves to be the forces of nature that we are, right? We were put here to be a force of nature. We were put here to feel things. We were put here to emote, to express emotion. And so it's okay to feel that. And particularly, I think, we do a lot of repression around rage and anger and frustration. And so those three emotions, believe it or not, beginning to feel and express those three emotions are tickets to rapid manifestation. So really paying attention to where you're repressing and allowing that to come through you and move through you. You'll be surprised at how much easier it is for you to manifest. We were meant to be a storm. And so the more you allow yourself to be the storm, the more easily you're going to call the things to you that you desire. I think for me, there's a place where we really try to put ourselves in these very, very structured environments. And at some level, when we're tapping into that feminine energy or that feminine nature, it's more wild, it's less structured. And so it's okay to be without structure sometimes, especially when it comes to manifestation. And I think the most important thing we do to tap into feminine energy is to really tap into our intuition, because we are such intuitive beings. We are such incredible creators when we tap into that in very, very intuitive part of us. So listening to our intuition and taking the inspired action that we're instructed to take, and like that, even that in and of itself, taking action based on our intuition is feminine in nature. Like that completely flips us into that feminine flow state. So making sure that you're doing that, for me, it's continually about stepping back and letting the universe lead the way. Like how I really step into that state of receivership and into, the person that you see show up on these calls, the person that you see show up on my podcast or in my programs. It's like, before I do anything, I literally take a beat and I'm like, okay, I step back and let the universe lead the way. And I allow myself to be guided by that divine guidance. I allow myself to move and shift like the river, right? Like within that flow. I don't prepare things. I show up and allow myself to be intuitively led and intuitively guided. And that in and of itself is very feminine in nature. And so for me, it's like just tapping in and being like, send me the clearest guidance you can possibly send me today so that I know the very best next right inspired action to take. And if I can stay in that state through the day, magic happens, right? So when I can get my head out of the way and I can step into that flow state, that state of fluidity, to me, that is the ultimate way for me to be in feminine flow. Doing things we're passionate about. This is so important as women, especially when it comes to receiving. Doing things you're passionate about. Find your passion and do that thing. Like, focus on doing that thing. Find what you love and do that thing. It's really not that difficult, but so often we do things because we feel like we should, or we feel like they're the thing that's going to, I'm not going to do the thing I love. I'm not going to step into my passion projects. I'm going to do this other thing that I know is going to make me money. Well, it's not going to be long before you're in a plateaued, stagnant state. So find the thing you're passionate about, find the thing you love, and do that thing. And likewise, stop doing all the shit you hate. Like, stop doing shit you hate for the love of all that's holy. You do not repel manifestation faster than by continuing to show up day after day after day and doing shit that you hate. Stop doing stuff out of obligation. This is really hard for us, right? Because we feel like, especially as women, and if we have children, it's like, oh, but we have to do this and we have to do that. And when we do stuff from a state of obligation, again, we're saying no to our soul. Again, we're basically telling the universe to fuck off. Like, it's really important that we stop doing things out of obligation. The beauty of deciding to stop doing things out of obligation is that when you actually start showing up for the people in your life from a place of desire and wanting to be there, your entire relationship will shift. That's a hard one though. But do things because they light you up, because they bring you joy, because they make you happy. That is what will send the message to the universe that you're ready and willing to receive. Connecting with other like-minded women is another way to really put yourself in feminine flow. And obviously you've connected with so many incredible people in this program. Stay connected, continue to surround yourself by women. I just posted on Facebook tonight and I was like, literally, surround yourself by excellent women that make you want to do and be better, and you will excel. And I really truly believe that. And I think it's so powerful, and it's, it's quite profound. And I think that we don't give it as much credit as we should, because we have been, again, programmed and conditioned to not trust each other, to have our feelings hurt, to take everything personally, instead of, being women and showing up and saying the things that are on our mind, and surrounding ourselves with women that trigger us, that make us stretch, that sometimes intimidate us, that make us nervous, right? Like, I'm continually finding women to surround myself with that stretch me, that push me to grow, that encourage me, that challenge me, because that's how I know I grow. And it's also how I stay in my feminine energy, is by surrounding myself with women like that. Create intimacy in all of your relationships. Really work on being present in each moment. And that's really how we create that intimacy. So regardless of who it is that you're interacting with, like, really try to bring yourself back into the present moment. And ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. How do we receive? We ask. If we're not asking and we're not being clear, then how does anyone even know what we want? So there's a difference between wanting to receive something, right, and asking for it. So being really clear with the people in your life, especially the men in your life, because men are different creatures than us. They're just different. It's important to ask, to not stifle your voice, to not, and to be in your authenticity, and to ask for what you want, to ask to have your needs met, because we just don't do that. We repress, and for some reason we feel like, especially men, should know what we want when they don't even remotely think like us. So that's an interesting dynamic there that would be an entirely other, a whole other masterclass, right? Yeah, and really start to tap in and develop a spiritual practice that enables you to connect with the divine feminine. Obviously, you know, we've entered into the age of Aquarius. We're tapping into a really beautiful feminine energy on this planet. And I think, you know, it's important that we recognize that we're transitioning and we're moving into this new energy, and that we honor that. And so that we develop a spiritual practice that includes feminine deities, that includes feminine energy, that includes feminine worship. Yeah, surrender, right? Like, I mean, and it always comes down to this, right? Surrender, be willing to receive. Stop trying to fucking control everything. Like, once in a while, just check yourself and be like, am I open? Am I willing to receive right now? Or am I cut the fuck off, right? Because most of the time we're cutting ourselves off.
That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to connect with me on social media and reach out. I love hearing from you. And if you want more of me, real, raw, and uncensored, make sure to join the Wealth Witch Telegram channel. It's my free channel where I share all of my random daily musings, as well as the information that I feel like is important and pertinent to my community. We've put a link to the Telegram channel in the show notes, so make sure to come join us over there if that intrigues you. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you are the most powerful creator in your reality. Until next time, this is the Wealth Witch signing off.